away from what the country was going through, but it's back to reality now. And the last week has definitely reminded a lot of us of what's going on in the nation. The Naira is in a free fall. The inflation figures are beyond mind-boggling. Food inflation is even worse. And every single Nigerian is feeling the pinch, and we don't seem to know what the way forward is. There's no clarity on a lot of things or what the future looks like. But I'm joined here now by two people who will probably help us understand where we are and what 2024 looks like. Priscilla Amadi and Wale Oshunde, thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're looking at the value of the Naira.
Good to see you too.
I think it ended the week at 1,644 thereabout to the dollar. And something that I think made it hit home for a lot of us. I saw a tweet that said, if you had a million Naira in 1999, it's now worth 100K.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty much, because it was 160 Naira to the dollar at the time. So you've lost 10 times the value of your money since democracy came back. Let me start with you, Priscilla. I don't even know what to ask. What's going on?
I know, right? You and me both. What's going on? That's the question we all Nigerians are asking. Like, we keep asking these things. You see, we've had different kinds of policies pushed in the last few months, and for some reason, it's not affecting the real thing that affects Nigerians. It's still Naira is still going on a free fall. The prices of everything is going off the roof. In fact, now you don't go to the market trying to bargain or even try to negotiate, because when you're trying to negotiate, they look at you like, come, are you even aware of what's going on in the country? So we're really asking, what is going on? There are people in charge of these things. What is really going on?
Well, it's very scary because, I mean, the inflation figures were released during the week. I think 29.9 by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, record numbers. Food inflation is even worse at 35.41. And I don't think you need figures to know that that's a fact if you've tried to buy anything in Nigeria recently. You know, we saw images, I think 2 days ago, of Sahad stores, a very popular store in Abuja, being closed down for price gouging or whatever And you wonder, but everybody's doing this. You go to the markets at 8 a.m., you go back at 2 p.m., the prices have changed because it's just the reality of things. Is this a fix for what's happening as supermarkets, restaurants, commodities, people who sell? Are they the reason for this? Because I didn't understand what that was supposed to achieve.
So to be honest with you, we can't blame it on the table of these poor market women. I mean, they are basically reacting to what is on the table in the country. And, you know, we can only blame the government. That's the truth. And, you see, let's start by looking at it, properly. What do we export out of this country? Oil. Apart from oil, what other things? Nothing. That's the truth. And look, it's a function of demand and supply, one. And it's also a function of, our forex earnings and, our strength, in terms of Naira and dollar. That's all. So you said it, during your introduction that, the Naira is on a free fall. What else do we expect? A kilo of Titus fish, which was, I think, about 4,000 Naira just 2 days ago. My wife bought it. Just this morning was 4,200. So how then do we expect that it is these people, these poor market women who are basically trying to earn a living for themselves that to be blamed for?
What do you understand? Sorry, what do you understand by the government saying people are hoarding food? Because I've been trying to understand that. What does that mean? Because that was one of the reasons I believe Sahad stores got affected. What does it mean to hoard? I've been trying to understand, what that means. At a time where people are trying to sell, I mean, the business wants to sell food, right? But they're going to sell at a price that they can make profit from, right?
So I basically don't even think that, the fact that people are hoarding food is responsible for, the hike in the prices of these commodities. I don't think that is actually the way to go. That can just be a spin, by some people somewhere to basically say, oh, look, the government is doing what they should do. And so these things are just skyrocketing. Maybe it's a function of people who are selling or a function of people who have these commodities in store. Now, don't forget, most of these commodities are expiry products. I mean, they carry expiry dates. So how do you then store fish and stock it up, in such a way that you would not want to sell it in 3 months or in 1 month or in 2 months? It will definitely rot away. That's the truth. How do you stock up noodles? How do you stock up? Tell me what exactly it is that you want to stock up basically and you don't want to sell. That's one. If you then store them up somewhere, are you making money? Are you making profit by storing things up in your warehouse? So I actually don't think it's the way to go, and it's a sound narrative. I basically think that people are beginning to get tired, and people are beginning to react, and some people, on the other hand, are looking for narratives to reel out there. That's it, in very simple terms.
We've heard a lot from the president or the presidency, making the usual excuses. We met a bad economy, things are going to take time, and all of that narrative. I'm even going as far back as blaming the party that was in government 9 years ago. But Mr. President, on his inauguration day, did say he was going to hit the ground running. And in fact, on the eve of the inauguration, I think it was a dinner hosted by the then President Buhari the day before the handover, May 28th, 2023, said these words: "Don't pity me. I asked for this job. I campaigned for it. No excuses. I will live up to the bill to deliver. I promise you." This was President Tinubu on May 28th, 2023. When you look at that side by side, the excuses you hear now, on the one hand, people say, well, it's too soon. It's only 9 months. It's going to take a while to fix. On the other hand, people are not seeing signs of things getting better. What argument do you think holds more water here?
Really, it's just a case of we are now beginning to hear excuses. I mean, at that ceremony you talked about, he literally said, "I campaigned from the job, don't pity me." And that's what any good leader would say. I mean, if you give your company to someone that you think is capable to become the CEO and turn around the affairs of that company, and the person comes around at the inauguration speech and says, "Oh, don't pity me, I interviewed for this job," and then some months down the line, this particular pity you told people not to pity you for is beginning to come out the way. You're coming with excuses back to back to back. Then it means that you're just indirectly telling us that maybe you're no longer capable for the job. I mean, using your words basically, because if you as a leader are finding excuses, I mean, we have gone from past administration to now past administration but wasn't me as excuses. I mean, we are almost a year. We are going towards a year for this particular administration, and we are not, what is going on now is that we are not in that place where you say, oh, what's going on now is as a function of activities that will later become fruitful. That's not what's going on here. What are just going on is everyone is wearing blinders on, and then it's just a free fall into an abyss, and it's looking like there's no holds back. So what we're looking at is there's no excuse really. So he has literally told us that if I do not do what needs to be done, then I no longer hold the ability to continue, because he said I didn't come here for excuses. But now we are hearing so far from even most of the economic team, it's just excuses.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about how, people are struggling. In times like this, you would see certain sectors, the private sector, sort of driving the economy. One part of the private sector that always seems to thrive is, the beer industry. You hear, even if people are sad, you shall drink to drink away your sorrows. If you're happy, you celebrate with. But we did see that the beer industry declared a 266.6 billion naira loss in the last financial year. We've seen so many countries or companies leaving the country. And it's been a sign of what's happening in the private sector. And these are institutions that naturally should not be shook. By an economic downturn. It gives you a sign of what's happened with even smaller businesses, isn't it?
It does actually. I mean, the big beer industry, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, the source of happiness is beginning to realize that there's no longer happiness anymore. The purchasing power is down. People are looking for alternate means to be happy. We've seen the rise of local herbs that actually intoxicate, because, of course, I mean, if I have 300 naira and one beer bottle is not enough to make me high, I mean, and I take those cheaper options, I mean,
which are unhealthy, sadly.
Well, who asked? Beer is technically is alcohol. If you consume it at a very high level, it's still unhealthy. So it's just people choosing their own form of unhealthy that they like, but at the end of the day, it's just what is going to happen at the end of the day. They want to get high. So you tell me that I have to beer is increasing price every day, just like fish. So if I have a choice, I will pick fish over beer.
Survival first.
I know, right? And then I will go for the cheaper version of alcohol, and then I'm able to put fish in my rice to be able to eat and still drink my cheaper version of alcohol. The purchasing power is down. Is literally down in the gutters. So it's not, we understand how it feels like and all that, but the fact is, the people that usually buy this, maybe they would buy a crate before. Family and friends, come over, come drink. Now we even have places and ceremonies that people are supposed to drink, and you see and you see local kind of drinks going on. Or if they used to buy 10 crates or buy 5, and everybody understands the economy and everybody manages what's going on. So at the end of the day, purchasing power is down in the gutters. It's not just the beer industry. I'm even worried for our darling Indomie that used to be like lifesaver for
I mean, eggs are almost untouchable.
I know. And you're wondering, is dollar also affecting the eggs, the chicks laying eggs? Of course, it's affecting the chicks laying eggs. They have to buy feeds. Poultry business is now under attack. They can barely survive. So it's not just about beer. What I'm worried about is all those local foods. You see rice. Can you imagine the cost of rice? Minimum wage cannot buy rice.
Wale, is it maybe playing devil's advocate here? Is it fair to say that this government, whatever government took over in May 2023, was going to go through something like this, considering where the economy was at the time? Because a lot of people said it then that, whoever takes over is going to be meeting a terrible state. Yes, people have blamed some of the pronouncements and policies at the start of this administration, but was something like this inevitable, you think?
Look, yeah. I mean, completely inevitable, except we want to be deceiving ourselves. I've been telling people that, look, I wasn't expecting a magician to take over the reins of affairs of the nation. Look, the country was in shambles even before this present administration came into office. This is not to speak for them. I'm just being very honest with you, and let's do a fair assessment of things. Look, what I think we should be asking for right now would be the gains on subsidy removal. What exactly is the government doing on the gains of subsidy removal? And look, I don't want anybody to come and tell me that...
That's assuming it's removed now, because
it's already removed.
Not completely
it's
removed.
It depends on the day of the week you ask.
We're hearing it's not completely removed, because prices are sort of, if we're going by the way the oil prices work internationally, prices look fixed here, but go on.
Thank you. So, I mean, we were informed. At least the president informed the nation that subsidy is gone.
Yes.
And so I choose to believe that, subsidy has been removed, right? Now, I want to know what exactly the government is doing with the gains on that removal of subsidy. I don't want anybody to come and tell me that there are some intervention programs that are going on with feeding school children and all those things, because they are basically siphoning those funds. So that, for me, is not the way to go. I think the way to go is to save up those monies, pay up our debts, and then the federal government should do everything it can to encourage people to go on to do other things that can earn foreign exchange into this. That's all. Now, for example, I have a proposal, free to tell the federal government, right? Why not set up something that can encourage agriculture in real terms, not this one that we do under the table, right? And we say, look, we are pumping in some funds and then fertilizers and what have you, that would really get nowhere. So I think the federal government should encourage people to come and take seedlings, go through farm settlements in each state of the federation. Let them take seedlings for maybe grains or cassava or whatever it is that we really want to export, and we want to be known for that particular commodity. So take, for instance, maize. It takes about 3 to 6 months or what have you to grow maize, right? So give seedlings, to people who are interested in farming. Tell them to do it, and then they take the end product to a particular farm settlement, and then they get paid for it. Now, the federal government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, should package how this would now be exported and when foreign currency. That's basically what we need to do. Not all these programs that we say we are doing and then we give fertilizers to our friends and people who have supported political parties, and political, figures. And then we say we are doing some interventionist programs and what have you. It would really not work.
Let me come to you now, Priscilla, because you were shaking your head.
I had something
a lot
else
there. But let's just move away from that. Because why I interjected then was, I think it was the IMF that said during the week that subsidy had come back through the back door. And this is the same IMF that people have said the government is in bed with. So for them to have said that, it means they've seen something. But anyways, I want to come to you now. We're still talking about, what the government is trying to do. We did hear the CBN governors say that they inherited about a $7 billion debt. And they have paid back about $2 billion. They found out that some of them were frivolous and all of that. Isn't that a sign that at least something is in the works? Like Wale has said, this is a country that doesn't produce anything, whether we like it or not, which is why we found ourselves where we are. Is 9 months enough to have just sort of switched up from being a solely oil exporting nation to fix this forex drama that's going on?
Okay, like my Wale rightly said, right? We need to start producing, right? if you want us to change to Forex, it means that the international community has to look into your country and figure out what they like, and they come for it. We already have the grains, which is always exported. You have companies like Ulam running on that. We have some other kinds of exports. You see, for us to fix exports is a whole nother ball game. You have the port authority, you have this insecurity that's not that's why I was shaking my, because it's not just enough to give seedling to farmers and all that. There's the ports where it's going to go. There are policies that encourage exports. Then you now come on to insecurity. That is a major concern. Where are these farmers going to farm? Is it the same place they are being killed? They are not being assured security. We saw the food inflation rise up when insecurity flew up the ranch, right? So if you give these farmers seedlings and they go to their farms and they get killed by people that nobody seems to find, what's the point? So are they going to farm it in their houses? We're having situations where insecurity is not entering the farms anymore. It's coming to people's houses. So there's a whole ecosystem for you to make Nigeria that profitable country. Even our oil is suffering. The oil that we are known for is suffering from the same insecurity problem. And then we cannot even begin to talk about the cost of governance here. Currently, everybody knows that the cost of governance in Nigeria is too high for the GDP that we have right now and the level of debt we're in. 7 billion. That number flew up in the last 8 years under the same administration with the same political party. So I don't know if they're going to sit down on a round table and have a conversation with themselves. Who took what? Bring it back. Because it's still them. They took it. It's still the same administration. And then if we're going to talk about seriousness in the government, now everybody knows Nigeria is at that point where we can call ourselves poor. I see no reasons why there are too many institutions being set up and empowered with different kinds of amounts for everything else apart from things that directly affect the citizenry. Everything else, we even have humanitarian affairs, is no longer humanitarian anymore. So what do we look at here? We're looking at situations where kangaroo policies are coming up, like Wale rightly said. Some things that are supposed to be are not being done. Let's go back to the drawing board. First things first, reduce the cost of governance. You would save money and then begin to look into policies that enable the international community to look into. Before you do that, fix insecurity. I mean, this is rocket. I don't need to be a magician or a scientist to know that if you want people to start farming, make the farms safe for them to go and farm. We literally see food basket of the nation, Benue State. They were one of the first set of people that faced insecurity in Nigeria. You have a whole community like Agatu wiped off the map. These people are the people that farm for Nigeria, and it's not safe. Now we have Jos every other afternoon. Plateau is being attacked. We had of recent a certain community that is known for their tomatoes. They were attacked. Their churches, human beings were burnt in their houses. So you see, these things are not rocket science. Let's go back to the basics. Create a safe environment for people to produce, and then create a very good avenue for these people that produce to push out their market out there. We have a fantastic diaspora community. Our food can be exported, if not to other communities, but to the Nigerian diaspora community. We have Nigerians buying garri from Ghana in other countries in Europe. Why about our own local garri? Why is it not getting to them? Is it the Nigerians that are here doing the garri that are the reasons why it doesn't get to them? Now, I'm very certain that if there are favorable policies for farmers and even producers to create, they would be able to create. But how do they get it out safely in a way that there's enough profit margin for them to go back and produce more? These are basic questions. It's just like basic questions of business. And it just seems like our amazing economic team and our presidency, they just seem to always leave that part out and face every other thing else. Honestly, I don't see why we are having this situation with the fuel, why the subsidy was taken off. If they had cut off the cost of governance, maybe there wouldn't have been need to have taken off subsidy, in my own opinion. I mean, considering the fact that people are suffering.
This conversation needs to go on, but unfortunately, we have to call it a day now. Thanks a lot, Wale, as always, for being here, and Priscilla.
Thank you.
It's looking very grim, I have to say.
Yeah,
a lot of people are not hopeful, and we just call on governments to hopefully, I don't know. Something needs to be done.
Yes.
Something needs to be done. This is not sustainable. 200 million people groaning. It's not sustainable. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Please stay with us.
Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.